Hi everyone, so hopefully you can see me. So a couple of days ago I was talking about how I heard that my favorite trilogy, series, book, whatever you want to call it, is actually getting a prequel. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are all for that. Of course, me being one of them. But I was thinking about it, and as much as I love the series, this is a prequel. That means the characters that we fell in love with and everything, and the reasons we fell in love with the book aren't going to be exactly the same, despite the fact that it has a similar plot because it is a prequel, so it is telling about how the society may have gotten this way, or a better understanding of it. It's not going to be the exact same story. While it will have a similar plot, it's going to be a very different story, as it will be about a very different character. It is one of the only, actually it is the only series that I've read in full, but it's technically only 3 books, so that kind of made it a lot easier. Okay, so I just had to post this up here because I'm so glad this is on a list of books you need to read to be well read, because it's excellent, and also it is better than Twilight. Way effing better. Alright, bye guys. There's a lot of mixed feelings about the 3rd book. My reasons for it not being one of my favorites when I first read it was a little different than most people's. A lot of fans were angry about the characters that were basically killed off in the last novel. And while I understand their point, because you get attached to certain characters, and when certain characters go through certain things, and you wonder why, or what the whole point was, it still is a dystopian trilogy. It is a post-apocalyptic world of poverty and brutality, and it is a story of people overcoming that through such things as war and battle. And unfortunately, in those situations, and their living conditions and the rebellion against it, things happen. It's not the type of story that you can expect to end in sunshine and rainbows, even when everything's all over. Despite the fact that it's obviously fiction, to make it believable, or at least somewhat realistic, because despite the fact of fiction being fiction, sometimes things are a little too far-fetched, or most of us in some ways like to relate to characters, and therefore it has to have a touch of reality. In reality, in war and things like that, people die. Innocent people die. People suffer through depression and PTSD and fear, all that other stuff. So while I understand people getting mad, like I said, because I enjoyed the characters myself, We gotta understand that you can't really write a book like that and just have everyone live happily ever after, because that's just not how it works. Reading about the new book that's coming out, the new book itself that's coming out, we have very little information on it. The only thing, like I said in my previous video, that we know is that it's set 64 years before the events of the trilogy itself. It's 10 years after the Dark Days, which started the whole thing, and it's 64 years prior to what's going on in the trilogy now. So it's like the 10th games. So we will see how the society started to become how it is in the trilogy, because it is the aftermath of the first rebellion, of the first war of Panem. And so we will see how people kind of came back from that, the things that happened. We're going to see people who were alive before the game started, who knew of life before this, because in the trilogy, we already in the 74th game. So the character that we are following in the story has grown up in this society. They know no different. This is how life is. So we are going to get the chance to perhaps see how things got to the way that they are. And that was the thing that I wanted to see in Mockingjay. Like I said, I was upset about the people that died and everything, but I more or less wanted a history of the world. I wanted to know about the districts and, how things came about. And hopefully we'll get that. Like I said in my previous video, I talk a lot about that, so you can go and watch that. The thing is, though, because this is set 64 years prior, this is going to be a very different character. And a big reason I fell in love with the book was because of the character, because of the love of her family and her thoughts and morals, and it was a good blend of that plus the plot. So now we're going way back, and we don't know exactly what character this is going to be following, if we're going to be in first person or whatever, if she's going to keep that narrative up. But this could be a very unlikable character. This could be a very brutal character. I mean, it's a very brutal setting. This character might not have the morals of the character that, we followed in the basic trilogy. This person could be very sadistic. They could be very weak. They might not be a strong female character. They might not even be a female character. They could be anything. And I was kind of thinking about that. It's like, I really want a prequel, but I think we got so attached to the characters in the first and the second book, at least the characters that are alive, or that were alive for most of the series. And I know from the Catching Fire, we wanted a lot of like the games from Haymitch or Joanna or Max or whatever, but this is a totally different character that I don't think we have heard of, or that we really got to know in any of these books. And it might be nice to go by a different perspective. But I was just kind of thinking, it's like, this might be challenging for me, because I love the series and I love the character, but this is basically the same setting, but someone else's story within this world. And you know, it might be interesting, like I said, for a different perspective, but obviously it's going to be challenging, because you get attached to these characters and such, and, you know, they're part of the story, the fandom, etc. And now you have to look at it from a different view. And this can go so many ways. It could be good, it could be bad. Maybe I'll like it. Will I like it as much as the basic trilogy? Will I like it more? Will it be better written? I don't know. I am very curious to see what she does with this. But this will be the first time that I am reading a prequel, unless I read something in between that. Which hopefully I will, because there's a lot of books that I want to get to, and this is not coming out till May next year. Hopefully I'll get a couple prequels and other things in my reading time. So, but this is the first one that I'm really thinking about, because it's the first series that I've completed. And Collins herself said that she wanted to explore the ideas of the state of nature and who we are and what we perceive as what we need to survive. Which obviously is the 3 books that she wrote. However, I see the point in her wanting to explore her own world and how that came about why people decided on this. Obviously, there's a lot of dystopians out there, and many are very dark. Even most young adult ones get kind of out there. Unwind was pretty dark. The Giver was. And in those books, it's pretty explained why things got to the way they did, which I highly recommend those as well. You should read those. But because we're already so many years into this world, and it's being told from the point of view of this character, that's all we know. And there was a point in Mockingjay where they are with the leader of a certain district and everything, and they were discussing the idea of symbolic Hunger Games involving capital children, which, if you read the series, you'll know that they are exempt from it. They don't have to participate in that. And she was wondering, when they first came out with the idea of the games, if people were sitting around talking about this brutal idea. It'll be very interesting to see how she writes that, if that's mentioned at all. But that's kind of my thoughts on the prequel, is that it might not be what we think it might be. This might not be a likable character. There's a lot of stuff going on in the society and everything, and not everyone can be perfect. Not that the character of Katniss was perfect, and that's why I enjoyed the books. But considering the fact that she talked about previous games, one where a kid turned cannibalistic, and there's talk of decapitation and other things very briefly in there, not very detailed, but they're mentioned. She can do many things with this character. So, that's my thoughts. For any of you who are looking forward to this book, what do you think the tribute's going to be? Do you think it's going to be male, female? Do you think it's going to be a little bit darker than the original trilogy? Maybe lighter? You think she's going to go into a lot of history? Let me know. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.